Hi everybody, this is Nena and Runolfr, and tonight we are going to make Swedish meatballs at the request of Diana. And Runolfr is getting a nice little shot right now of our ingredients as they are laid out. And I will be doing most of the talking and cooking as Runolfr is doing the filming tonight, and his voice is not the best because a little bit of a cold going on. So, hope you enjoy. So I do my onions a little bit different than differently from how Runolfr does his. I do cut off the root, and then I do cut off the, whatever that is, the stem. But then, from then on, it's the same. I cut the onion in half, I peel off the skin. Apologies for my ugly hands. I was actually going to go have my nails done with my daughter the other day, and as the two of us were out, I was going to have fake nails done because I have terrible nails. I cannot grow nails. But we were out and we realized, oh crap, it's Sunday, so nobody was open, so we didn't get to have our nails done. And apparently the way Runolfr does his onions is better than mine because I can't get mine fucking peeled. Hi. There we go. He can cut some of this out if he loves me. No, it's possible that he loves me and he will not cut this out because it's funny. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I ain't gonna be mad either way.
That sound you hear in the background is the puppers.
Oh my god, it's the puppers. They are so sweet. My cats today apparently had too much caffeine. I do not know who gave them caffeine. But I work from home. I am fortunate and lucky, and the company is thinking about rescinding those privileges, and if they do, I'm going to be very sad. But I was working from home, and I had a meeting. It was a Skype meeting. Well, no, it was a go-to meeting, actually, and I was doing it from my room because something else was happening. Other things that were making noise were happening downstairs in my house, so I just stayed upstairs in my room to do the meeting. But my cats, of whom I have 4, all stayed up in the room with me, and apparently they had been given amphetamines in their food that morning because they would not stay still. And in the background of my meeting, the entire meeting was I had to apologize multiple times. I couldn't stay on mute because I had to fucking talk. It's like, responsibilities, what the hell. But, alright, and so you see that I am almost cutting my fingers off. You don't want to actually do that. You want to actually not cut your own fingers. The only fingers you actually want to cut are the fingers of your enemies and those who have harmed you. So we're going to try not to cut my fingers off. Alright, so I've got the onions chopped up. And I don't know what's happening now.
Well, we'll figure that out in a second.
Alright, so the recipe calls for only oil here. However, in order to sweat and slightly brown the onions, I have the heat a little higher than I want for just butter. So I've put a tiny bit of vegetable oil in here, just to temper the butter, to keep it from scorching. So it's just a few drops. It's really not much. It's not much at all. And the recipe, like I said, the recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm doing this out of cooking knowledge because I'm an old witch who knows how to cook. Alright, so we're melting this butter over medium-ish heat, medium-ish high heat. Because we want a good browning on the onions. And you can probably pause this until the butter melts, but we're melting the butter. So we have some of the butter. It's not all of the butter, but we have some of the butter going melted here, and we're about to add the chopped onions, which we are going to let sweat and brown just a little bit. This is medium to medium high heat.
And since when I had to go back and get more butter, it was only available as salted butter. We don't need to add salt to that, I guess.
The butter was salted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to still add a teensy of salt. Not nearly as much. Like, I would normally take a big pinch, but this is a very teeny pinch. I'm only putting this in to help draw out the liquid of the onions. If you use salted butter, you don't need to use salt here for seasoning. You only need to use it, but you do want to draw the liquid out, man. It's like, it's a thing. It's a thing you do. I ain't a chef. I ain't a chef. I don't know why I do the things I do. I just know I do them, and it turns out good because my food's good. Unless you ask my ex, who doesn't appreciate good cooking.
Okay.
I've softened
Break
the
time.
onions. There's a teensy bit of browning on some of them, but they're not brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off, take them off of the hot element, and we're going to start the next portion of cooking, which is making the meat. Now, we're going to start to make the meatballs. The first thing you do is you put the breadcrumbs in. This is, I don't know, are you going to post the recipe? Because I don't remember how much breadcrumbs this is.
Publix breadcrumbs, but I'll put a link to the
This
recipe.
is just like however many breadcrumbs you think you need for your amount of meat. I use a little bit more breadcrumbs than are usually asked for in a recipe because breadcrumbs make meatballs tender. And I like good tender meatballs. I like for my meatballs to be easy to bite into and very gentle. This is a little bit of milk. The milk is just to soften and make the breadcrumbs, you know, wet, because breadcrumbs are dry. Alright, so we're softening the breadcrumbs. As we do that, I am going to, what am I going to do?
Scratch your nose attractively on YouTube.
Scratch my nose because I'm adorable. Okay, we're going to add the ground beef, egg, salt, pepper, nutmeg, and allspice. Alright, we're going to add, this is not just ground beef though, because we do what we want. We don't go by recipe. This is ground chuck and ground pork for meatloaf, but we're not making meatloaf, we're making meatballs. So this is a mixture of meat. Ted, did you have this done specifically at
No,
Publix?
they actually have that.
They just had the mix done, huh? Mm-hmm. Because Publix is awesome. Alright, so we got the meat, the breadcrumbs, and the milk. We're going to go ahead and add our egg. We're going to add some salt with my hand that does not have egg on it. Some pepper. This pepper grinder doesn't grind as quickly as I'd like for a video, but hey, it's cool. Salt and pepper. We're putting some allspice in here.
Those might need to be ground. I think they're whole.
Oh, are they whole? Well. Ha, this is...
We'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, we're adding some allspice, ground allspice berries. We are going to add some garlic powder. And yes, we would normally use whole garlic, but we're using garlic powder tonight. I'm not going to try to explain myself because this is my life.
The recipe called for powder.
The recipe called for powder, but I ain't a slave to the recipe. I just decided it, man. I'm not, a slave to the recipe. It's my
You're not the
choice.
boss of me.
It's my choice. Where's the... Here it is. And now I'm going to grind some fresh, whole nutmeg. Because nutmeg is amazing when it is freshly ground. Hi. I'm freshly ground.
I'll have to take off my finger.
I know, I've already cut my finger. You can see the blood coming through the Band-Aid. I'm going to have to, I'm left-handed, so it's cool. I'm going to have to mix the meat with only my left hand, which would be much better than doing it with only my right hand. I'm probably putting a little more nutmeg than most people would want, but I
It'll all be good.
really like nutmeg. Alright, so we got the nutmeg in. What else do I need to put in here? I need to put the Worcester sauce. The Worcester. I don't know. How do they say it?
Worcestershire.
They don't say the sure, though.
Or just
That's
Worcester.
the thing.
Or
They
Worcester.
just say Worcester. It's like a half teaspoon or something. Something like that.
I'm sure that Chris or somebody else from England who watches this will be happy to correct us.
Tell us. How am I supposed to say? And now all of this I'm mixing together. I could ask my coworker Jonathan. Jonathan lives in Manchester, England. He's a cool dude. His girlfriend's about to have a baby, and I kind of want to crochet them something because it's so cute. Oh my God, babies! I'm so done with babies. Until my baby has a baby, which...
You're ready for grandbabies.
Yeah, I'm ready for grandbabies. One of these days she's going to have one. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she won't. She wants them, though, so she probably will. And it's going to be kind of cool. Grandbabies. Oh, my God. All right, so I have mixed the meat together. What am I supposed to do now? So let's see, I added onions. I gotta add the onions now. So
Hopefully they're cool enough not to injure you.
Onions are cool enough now that they will not hurt when I add them. I am adding the oil as well that the onions cooked in. It wasn't much, but a little extra fat.
Yeah, it has a flavor.
Well,
it's butter.
It just makes everything taste better. It's butter, right? The fat is butter, so you know it's wonderful and delicious. So here's the thing: the recipe said, don't overwork the meat mixture because it will make your meatballs tough. That's not how meat works. When you're working with something with with gluten in it, if you overwork it, it will make it tough because gluten, as it is worked into things, it forms longer and longer chains of gluten protein. Meat protein doesn't do that so much. I don't know, maybe it does it some, but it doesn't do it much. The thing that's going to determine whether your meatballs are tough or not is how much carbohydrate, how much gluten you actually add. But the gluten that we're adding is already processed. It's breadcrumbs, so it's not like it's raw flour. So it's not going to get tougher and tougher as you mix. You can mix this as much as you want. Don't ever let anybody tell you got to worry about overmixing your meatballs. You don't.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be back in a few.
We are putting now. So Ted rolled the meatballs because that is a two-handed job, and I have an injury, and we don't want to put human blood, in our food. So we're weird.
Until we turn into vampires.
We're not that weird yet. All right. So right now, what I'm doing is putting meatballs into a pan that is not quite hot enough. So I'm heating this up just a little bit. Ted rolled the meatballs with his two good clean hands, and I'm using my one uninjured hand to put them in. Now I'm hearing a little sizzle. You want to hear a sizzle when you put them in. I'm not currently, but that's, my bad. What we're going to do is we're going to put these meatballs in here. We're going to brown them on each side. And it's okay if they don't cook all the way through because they're going to cook some in the sauce. But we want them mostly cooked all the way through. In fact, when I do meatballs not with a particular recipe like this. I always do more than I need for whatever I'm doing that night. And I go ahead and cook them all the way through this way, just on a little bit lower heat. And then put them in the refrigerator and just cook them on a lower temperature in the sauce. And then I can take some and cook them in another sauce on a lower temperature. And they don't get overcooked, and it's very good. So I'm going to let these brown a little bit on the side that's down right now. And I'm going to turn them as they brown on each side. We're going to get a nice little, you know what meat looks... A crust. You know what meat looks like when it crusts, right? That's the tasty part.
And we'll get some, per Babish, we'll get some fond in the bottom of the pot.
We will, and that will be used for the sauce. So, we're going to let these cook. I'm going to be turning them. There's really no need to film all that. We'll be back. Okay, so we have a nice, smooth base for our sauce. We're going to start adding things that, I'm going to turn it up just a teeny, because I want to see a few little bubbles in here. I want the heat to be...
proper simmer?
I want it to be properly dispersing the flavors. We're going to add a tiny bit of garlic powder. Yes, I would normally use fresh garlic. It really is easier in this recipe to use garlic powder. And to be quite honest, for Swedish meatballs, it makes sense to use garlic powder because the Swedish would have definitely dried their garlic so they could have it all year. Because garlic doesn't grow when it's cold, right?
And it's cold for 8 months.
It's cold for a long time in Sweden. So yeah, so garlic powder is probably pretty authentic. We're going to also add some mustard. And this is like what we call mustard. This isn't just mustard, just not like ground mustard. This is prepared mustard. Honestly, I don't even know how much the recipe calls for, but I know I like the mustardy taste. So I'm going to give it a good squirt.
Yeah.
I really like the mustardy taste,
Maybe
though. Your mileage may vary.
It's a flavor enhancer. Use however much you want.
Yeah, it really is. If you want these to be a little more mild and creamy, you know, more of the creamy feel than the bite, don't use nearly as much mustard as I did. I really like the mustard taste, and both Ted and I like a bite to our meals, so I added a little bit more mustard than probably a traditional recipe. And then we're going to add some Worcester.
And that is Lee and Perrins.
This is Lee and Perrins, so not vegetarian, which, you know, these are meatballs, so we're not worried about vegetarian. I'm going to add about, I don't know, teaspoon and a half-ish.
Not too shy.
Not shy, but not a ton, because this stuff can be overpowering. Alright, so we're going to mix this in. We're going to let this cook at a medium just for a minute, and I'm going to be adding the meatballs in just a second.
Okay, we'll be back in a minute.
We've brought this up to temperature. This is hot. It's like almost boiling right now. And we're not going to let it boil for long, but we wanted it like right when it's starting to bubble. And as it comes to boiling, we're adding our meatballs. Because the meatballs are, as we did them this way, they're mostly cooked, but we want to make sure that they're cooked all the way through. Okay, so you see the boiling happening. You see the bubbling starting to happen. That's perfect. As we add our meatballs in, we want all our meatballs in here as it starts to bubble. And then so I have this on like a medium-high, like a high, medium-high heat. I'm adding my meatballs. As it starts to bubble and starts to boil, I'm going to make sure this remains at a good bubble. I'm going to make sure everything's coated. because we want the flavors to meld, because oh my god, those melding flavors, they're the best. It's so delicious. And okay, everything's coated. We have some bubbling. Can we see the bubbling? We've got some bubbling going on. We're gonna turn it down. The bubbling is at like a medium high, like a high, medium high. We're turning it down to like a low-ish.
Yeah,
like,
that goes from basically 1 to 10. What's it on?
So ours goes from 1 to 10. When it was bubbling hard, it was at an 8. Right now, it's at a 2.5. And I'm going to leave it at a 2.5 for about 10 minutes. And that is, part of it is to cook the meatballs all the way through, but most of it is to cook the flavors of the sauce through the meatballs.
Okay.
So we're going to do this for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back, and we're going to cook our noodles, and we're going to eat.
Yay!
Are we going?
Yeah.
Hi! We're ready to plate. So, we have noodles that we cooked. These are just regular old egg noodles. How many egg noodles do you want, Ted?
That looks good for me.
That's good for you? And then we're going to put some meatballs on them. How many meatballs do you want, Ted?
Let's start with 3.
3 meatballs. And some more sauce. We're going to put sauce. Because the sauce, oh my god, the sauce is delicious. There's so much deliciousness in the sauce. Do you need more sauce than that?
I can always come back for more.
You can, but you need more than this right now.
Okay.
We're going to do a few more little scoops of sauce. Okay, there's that. And then we're going to give you... What's this?
Sugar snap peas.
Sugar snap peas. We just steamed some sugar snap peas. And you can season those with salt and pepper as you wish. Because salt and pepper, you know, those are white people seasonings. And this is our dinner tonight.
And we're just going to sit back and enjoy this. Thanks for watching.
Yay, good night.